What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing fantastic. Okay, so today I would like to just go through an article. This article was written up on the Lakewood Scoop website. Quite a few friends of mine sent it to me. I read through it, and I wanted to talk about it. I'm not here to knock the article. I'm not here to insult the author of the article. I think it was written in good faith. I think he tried to make a Kiddush Hashem. He was trying to only write this to give chizuk and help our brothers and sisters, and I respect all that. I just want to talk about this article because I believe that this article really is imbued with a shared value, a shared mindset of many American Jews, and so therefore I'm going to use this article to talk about some ideas, but it's not about this article specific. It's about the ideology that is heavily imbued within this article. So I'll put it up here on the screen. Let me read the article quickly. Maybe I'll skip some paragraphs just for the sake of time. Maybe I won't. I don't know. And then we'll go through it. I don't think that a lot of people are seeing what's going on in the world in a spiritually healthy light. Definitely not. Many people are definitely not seeing what's going on in the world and taking away from it the messages that Hashem is clearly trying to show us. And I would like to just point these things out in this article. So here we go. I recently came across a story that has not left my mind. In the days of the Ksav Sofer, a non-Jewish servant in the governor's mansion was caught stealing. Fearing for his life, he hid the stolen goods in the home of a poor, innocent Yid. The authorities searched every house and, of course, found the evidence exactly where he planted it. The Jew was immediately arrested and sentenced to death. The Ksav Sofer exhausted every connection he had, trying to get him out, meeting with Askanim, pleading with officials, and trying desperately to save the innocent Yid. Right, so every door was shut, and the night before the execution, the Ksav Sofer, he fell asleep with a broken heart. That night, his father, the Ksav Sofer, appeared to him in a dream and said, "My son, why are you sleeping? An innocent Yid is about to die." The Ksav Sofer replied, "I've done everything I can, yet nothing worked." And the Ksav Sofer answered, "Did you gather the whole town for Tehillim, for Tefillah?" He awoke with a start. Before dawn, the Ksav Sofer gathered everyone, men, women, children. They cried out to Hashem, and basically, the innocent Yid was saved. The power of Tefillah. Very, very good. That was one person, one Yid, and one Tzaddik who refused to give up, who understood that when all earthly avenues fail, there remains one path that never closes, the gate of Tefillah. What about us? Today in New York, and all our neighbors in New Jersey who think that this doesn't affect them, we face an existential threat to a city of over 1 million Yidden. The atmosphere grows darker by the day. We've seen candidates and ideologies that openly express disdain for Torah values, for Klal Yisrael, for Eretz Yisroel. We see the winds shifting, policies taking shape that could make life for our community harder, less secure, and less free. And yet, where's our outcry? Are we gathering for Tehillim? Are we crying out to the Eibishter, the way the Ksav Sofer and his Kehillah did for one innocent Yid? We talk politics. We discuss Kumo versus Mamdani versus Sliwa. I don't know how to pronounce these names. I apologize. We analyze the polls, the endorsements, the numbers. But who amongst us has said, "Ribbono shel olam, you run the city, you run the world, you decide what happens"? Do we believe that a Yeshua can come from politicians, from strategists, from party machines? No. We have one Avinu Shebashamayim, only one address, only one power that decides who sits in City Hall, in the governor's mansion, or in the White House. It's time we remember who we are. We need Yemei Tehillim, Tefillah, in all 5 boroughs, in shuls, yeshivas, bate midrashes, homes. We need to remind the Eibishter that we know Ein Od Milvadai, that we are his nation and we turn only to him. If the Ksav Sofer could move heaven and earth for one person, what could 1 million Yidden accomplish if we would unite in Tefillah and Bitachon? Politics will run its course, but our destiny is not decided in polling booths. It is decided in Shemayim. Let us show the Eibishter. We remember the truth. Let us cry out together. Shema Keleinu. Okay, now is the time. Fine. Very good. Very nice article. Very inspiring. Okay, so first of all, the Ksav Sofer. So we're trying to, what this article is trying to do is trying to compare this story, which is, I guess, a pretty normal story, unfortunately, in the history of Klal Yisrael, where a Jew, a blood libel, or whatever it might be, a Jew was falsely convicted of a crime, sentenced to either jail time or death, and how does Klal Yisrael react? We have to cry out to Hashem. we're trying to compare that to the situation in New York City. We have now, this article was written before Mamdani was elected, but now Mamdani has been elected the mayor. He will be the mayor of New York City. What's our reaction? We have to cry out to Hashem. So that's the comparison. Sounds good. So first of all, the Ksav Sofer, when he was trying to free this Yid from jail, from the death penalty, the Ksav Sofer, it says here, he exhausted every connection he had, meeting with Askanim, pleading with officials. And then when his father, when the Chasam Sofer came to the Ksav Sofer in a dream, and he said, "Why are you sleeping?" The Ksav Sofer answered, "I've done everything I can." Now, this is a very important point to this story, because if the Ksav Sofer would have woken up, found out that there was a Jew put in jail and sentenced to death, if the Ksav Sofer immediate reaction would have been, "Let us daven," I think that would probably be the wrong thing. He obviously first did his ishtadlus. He exhausted all his options. He used every connection he had. So now the comparison here to the situation in New York City is missing one thing. Where the man writing this article is saying, we need to cry out to Hashem to save us. It's true. If Mamdani is the mayor and he is going to obviously do some pretty bad things to the Jewish communities, we need to cry out to Hashem. But first we do Hishtadlus. We happen to have a place called Eretz Yisroel. It happens to be the holiest place in the world. It happens to also be the home of the Jewish people, the home of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we happen to have a mitzvah in the Torah to live there. That mitzvah stands, always did, always will. We have the gates of Eretz Yisrael are open to us. Every single Jew can easily get on an airplane, fly over to Eretz Yisrael and continue their life here, or restart their life here. I would like to say restart their spiritual life here. That is an option. In fact, that is the most obvious option that is on the table. So to skip that option and go straight to, let's take a lesson from this story and cry out to Hashem. We have to make Yemei Tefillah. We have to be united, say Tehillim. You're missing something here. There's something missing, because what about doing what I believe Hashem is actually trying to tell us to do, which is to go home. It's time to go home. But let's skip that and let's jump to, we need to daven to Hashem. Unlike the Ksav Sofer in this story, the people in America, the Jews in America, have not exhausted all options. In fact, they haven't even done the first one, which is the first option on the list for every Jew for all of our history, which is get to Eretz Yisrael. 2-3 paragraphs later, you have the same thing. It says here, when one person, one Yid, one Tzaddik, he refused to give up. The Ksav Sofer refused to give up. He understood that when all earthly avenues fail, there remains one path that never closes, the gate of Tefillah. So, obviously the person writing this article is focusing on that sentence, the gate of Tefillah. But he's skipping over the first sentence before that. When all earthly avenues fail, are the Jews in America who are rightfully scared now. Have they tried all earthly avenues? How about you take the avenue to Eretz Yisrael? He writes here, today in New York, and in our neighbors in New Jersey who think that this doesn't affect them, we face an existential threat to a city of over 1 million Yidden. And the atmosphere grows darker by the day. I feel like this sentence was probably written many times in Jewish newspapers in Nazi Germany, a city of over 1 million people. And the atmosphere grows darker by the day. Once again, the Jews of Chutz La'aretz are facing for the probably 100th time the exact same scenario. The atmosphere is growing darker. You have once again a politician, a leader who does not like the Jews. We know he's going to do bad things to the Jews. How is this not a repeat of history? How are people not seeing the writing on the wall? Now again, it's very hard to flee for your lives. But the difference between now and all the other times in Jewish history is we have Eretz Yisrael. When you look at these words, a city of over 1 million Yidden. It's true, New York, a city of over 1 million Yidden. To me, that makes me cringe. Eretz Yisrael is here. It's booming. It's flourishing. It's amazing. There are millions and millions and 7 million Jews in Eretz Yisrael. And there's still 1 million Jews in one city in America, in New York City. Over 1 million Jews. I don't know, that should make anybody that knows anything about Jewish history, anybody who's read the Chumash, it should make them cringe that there are 1 million Yidden in a city across the world who have no plans to come to Eretz Yisrael. That sentence made me cringe. And then he writes, and yet, where's our outcry? Are we gathering for Tehillim? Are we crying out to the Eibishter the way the Ksav Sofer's Kehillah did for one innocent Yid? I'd like to remind everyone of the story of Nachshon ben Aminadav at the splitting of the sea. It says in the Torah, it says it explicitly. The Jews, they were standing there between the sea and the Mitzrayim behind them, the Egyptians, and they cried out to Hashem. They said, what can we do? What can we do? There's nothing left to do. So they cried out to Hashem. You would think that's the right thing. And Hashem said, now is not the time to cry. Now is the time to move, to walk, to go. I told you to go to Eretz Yisroel. But there's an ocean. I don't care. Keep walking. I told you to go. If this is the only way to get to Eretz Yisroel, you go into the ocean. Nachshon ben Aminadav, he walked into the ocean. The ocean split. The sea split. There is a time for tefillah. There's a time for crying, and there's a time for doing. There isn't an ocean in front of us. I'm sorry, but for those who think that going to Eretz Yisroel is as difficult as literally jumping into an ocean, having no idea if you're going to drown, it's not a really good comparison. It is significantly easier to get on a plane and go to Eretz Yisrael. We're not asking you to jump into an ocean. We're asking you to just do a healthy, normal thing that millions of Jews have already done. The purpose of this whole article is we've exhausted all options. We need to cry out to Hashem. That's all we have left. You have exhausted no options. And he writes here, do we believe that Yeshua comes from politicians, from strategists, from party machines? No. We have one Avinu Shebashamayim, only one address. The truth is we have one address. It's called Eretz Yisroel. That is the address of the Jewish people. It's called Eretz Yisroel because it's the address of Klal Yisrael. Do we believe that a Yeshua comes from politicians? No, actually, it's quite explicit all throughout Tanakh that the Yeshua will come from Eretz Yisroel. That's where we will build the Beis HaMikdash. Eretz Yisrael is where the Geula will happen. At the end of the day, all the Jews will be gathered into Eretz Yisrael. And Hashem is right now trying to gather the Jewish people. They're not listening, so he keeps pumping up the volume. He sends Mamdani, and instead of getting the hint, people are just trying to scramble and figure out what to do next. But again, Eretz Yisrael, I don't know how that's not like the core of this article. He writes here, it's time we remembered who we are. Yes, who we are. We are a nation that dwells alone. We are a Goy Echad Ba'aretz. We are one nation in the land. We are a nation that is always going to be hated by everyone because we can't be living amongst everyone. The Jews are supposed to be living in their land, in Eretz Yisrael, serving Hashem. From here, from Eretz Yisrael, we will be a light unto the nations. So I agree. We need to remember who we are. We're not a nation that sits idle and keeps davening to Hashem to save us from everything. We're a nation that is supposed to be the doers, the nation that takes action, the nation that spearheads good and the light in this world. And that happens from Eretz Yisrael. We need Yemei Tehillim and Tefillah in all 5 boroughs. No, you need Yemei Tehillim and Tefillah in Eretz Yisrael, where Tefillah is the most effective. If the Ksav Sofer would move heaven and earth for one person, could move heaven and earth for one person, what could 1,000,000 Yidden accomplish if we would unite in Tefillah and Bitachon? I agree. This is something I preach in all my videos. Imagine 1,000,000 Jews, probably at least, I don't know what the exact number of religious Yidden in New York is, but I would venture to say it's at least 500,000 from Yidden in New York. So he writes here, imagine what we could accomplish if we daven to Hashem. You davening to Hashem to extend your stay in Gullus? That is insane. That is absolutely crazy. Imagine what 500,000 from Jews, 1,000,000 Yidden, could do if we united in Tefillah and Bitachon in Eretz Yisroel. Well, I have the answer for that. The Geula. That's what would happen. That's all Hashem wants. He wants the Jews to come back to Eretz Yisroel, unite, Achdus, Teshuvah, Tefillah, do the mitzvos, and that's Geula. Geula will take place. We will build the Beis HaMikdash. Imagine what 1,000,000 Yidden could accomplish if we unite in Tefillah. Think about what he's writing here. Now, again, I'm not knocking the person who wrote this article, but I think what he's saying is something that would be shared. I'm sure that this is going to be spoken about in the big yeshivas and BMG and the like. We have to unite in Tefillah. What are you davening for? You davening that Hashem should extend your stay so you can continue to live comfortably in Gullus? Imagine all the frum Jews in America would come to Eretz Yisrael. How much more Kedusha we would have here. How much more would the forces of good in Eretz Yisrael be able to overtake the forces of evil? People complain, I can't come to Eretz Yisrael. There's too many secular Jews there. There's a secular government. Well, that's because half of the frum Jews in the world refuse to come to Eretz Yisrael. Unfortunately, along with the mainstream frum community, comes this ideology that Eretz Yisrael is not for us. Eretz Yisrael is only for us when the Beis HaMikdash is standing and Hashem has made it into some sort of spiritually and physically blissful land. And of course, we need a prophet to come, to fly down from heaven and tell us, now is the time to go to Eretz Yisrael. Politics will run its course, but our destiny is not decided in polling booths. It's decided in Shemayim. It's true. And Shemayim decided that our destiny is Eretz Yisrael. I just find it unbelievable that, yes, there are articles written about Eretz Yisrael for sure, but how can any article, an article like this, how can somebody write an entire article like this and make no mention of the elephant in the room, Eretz Yisrael? What's amazing is that the entire world is obsessed with Eretz Yisrael. Podcasters, all of YouTube, all of social media, celebrities, movies, music, the news, literally all media, everything is obsessed with Eretz Yisrael. Colleges, just all of humanity is obsessed with Eretz Yisrael and can't stop talking about Eretz Yisrael. Yet the only people that can't start talking about Eretz Yisrael are the frum Jews in America. Eretz Yisrael is left out of the conversation. We write an article about we've exhausted all of our options. What were your options? You voted. Great. Yeah, you went to a building and you voted. So that didn't work. So therefore, we've exhausted all of our options. I don't know how Eretz Yisrael is not part in this article. I don't know how Eretz Yisrael wouldn't be. Eretz Yisrael should be part of every single article and every single Torah conversation in the frum world. Because if it's part of the conversation of the Goyim, if it's in every single news broadcast, no matter every billboard, everywhere you look, you see Eretz Yisrael, at least the frum Jews should be talking about Eretz Yisrael, especially when they're talking about what's going on in America, the downfall of America. How is Eretz Yisrael not in this conversation? How is it not the only thing being discussed? Overall, this entire article, although meant well, written well, and kol hakavod to whoever wrote it, and I wish them well, and all the people that have this ideology, I wish them well, but I urge you to start using the Torah as the lens to see the world through, to start seeing the signs Hashem is giving us, to stop living a passive spiritual life where everything is just about staying put, trying to survive. We're waiting for Hashem to come save us. Everything Hashem is doing, He's making it so obvious what needs to be done. The entire world is falling apart. The nations of the world, especially since October 7th, are uniting against Eretz Yisrael. I would venture to say, kind of looks like what Gog Umagog is described as in the prophets. The nations will gather together against Eretz Yisrael. And that's what's happening. And Hashem is just making it more and more obvious. Europe has already completely fallen to the jihadist terrorists. The world is just being completely taken over by jihad, by leftist mentality, by everything that is the exact opposite and enemy of the Torah, of Hashem. And there's only one answer. It's Eretz Yisrael. And people, so many Jews are fighting so hard to resist it. They just refuse. So many Jews refuse to accept Eretz Yisrael and our destiny. I think that if David HaMelech lived today, or really any of our great sages, the Tanoim, the Amoraim, the Rishonim, if they would be living today, they would see the mentality of the Jewish people, if they would see the millions of Jews that are in America still, and they would see what's going on here in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is being built up. It's unbelievable. And they would see articles like this, that so many members of Klal Yisrael don't look at Eretz Yisrael as an option. It's just not on the table. It's not our home. It's not where we live. It's some Moshiach ideology that it's the holiest place in the world, but not for us. Not for us. It's cute. Some Yidden live there, but it's not for us. This ideology must change. The Jews need to stop being passive. We need to be the mighty warriors that the Jews were in the days of old. We need to fight for Hashem. We need to make a Kiddush Hashem. And the best way to do that is in Eretz Yisrael. Anyway, I hope that everyone can buy a Tanakh, learn it, get a little involved. learn some Jewish history, understand what's going on, understand the clear and obvious signs that Hashem is sending us. He finishes off the article, now is the time. Now is the time. He's referring to tefillah. Now is the time for tefillah. I don't know how now is not the time to get up and leave. Now is the time to leave America, friends. Now is the time to come to Eretz Yisroel. Now is the time to bring the Geula. The winds of change are here. Hashem has officially started the process of the downfall of America, the last friend of the, or supposed friend of the Jewish people. It is now in the heavy decline. The biggest city in America, the biggest Jewish city in America, is now in the hands of a jihadist mayor. Of course, he can't do anything without Hashem willing it. But the fact that he just became the mayor has got to be the most obvious sign from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what the Jews need to do next. It's time to come home, guys, because stop uniting in prayer, stop uniting in Torah and mitzvos to save America. Do all those things in Eretz Yisrael, and we'll have the Beis HaMikdash. It's not rocket science, guys. Come home, please. Chazak ve'ematz. I pray that everyone gets the clear and obvious messages of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. See you next time. Hey guys, if you're enjoying these videos, if you're getting inspired, motivated, I ask, please share them with a friend, share them with your family. We're trying to get everyone, all the Jewish people, to move back to Eretz Yisrael. We're trying to bring the Geula. And if you aren't already, then please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. And unlike some other companies and organizations, I'm a one-man band for the most part. I write the scripts, record the videos, edit them. I put in nothing less than 10 to 20 hours a week just making these videos. And then a lot more than that, being in touch with people, contacting people, helping people get to Eretz Yisrael. It's a lot of work, and I'm so happy to do it. It is the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my entire life to be part of making a change in Klal Yisrael. But I ask of anyone who'd like to partner with me, go to my website, HomeBoundisrael.com, make a donation. It helps immensely. All the money goes towards putting in more time, putting in more work, getting these messages out in front of more people, in front of more of Klal Yisrael. And again, every single dollar goes to making the greatest Kiddush Hashem that the world has ever seen. Thanks, guys. Chazak ve'ematz. See you next time.